Good morning, everyone. And how are you today? All righty then. Y'all recognize that? Ace Ventura? Loved Ace Ventura. First one, the second one, Dumb and Dumber. I'm a big Jim Carrey fan. That's not what's on the test, though. Okay, Jim Carrey is not on the exam. Welcome. We are going to go over a little lecture for gender. You know how last night on the live stream about I covered aging, and I was like, we only have 50 minutes today to do all this stuff that I got to tell y'all. It's going to be all right because I'm about to do a lot of it right here and right now. And so if we, get sidetracked in class, y'all still have the information that's going to be on the exam. And I do like to get sidetracked. Speaking of getting sidetracked, I like to talk to y'all and discuss topics. I could sit up there and read the PowerPoints and just sit here and read the notes to you. It'd be kind of boring. But instead, I try to take the topics and then, generate a question for y'all, and then y'all get to talking about the topic and, see what you think. I'm always interested to know what students think, their views on this wonderful knowledge called sociology. The love of my life. All right. Oh, and side note, y'all want to see something funny? Oh, I got one viewer. I don't want to be ugly, but I thought it'd be kind of funny. The class would laugh. Wink, wink. Look at my shirt. Whoa, oh. I'm not a boss. I'm just a boss. But I don't want to teach and have, bad word on my shirt. But y'all know the inside joke now about the t-shirt and the song. All right, here we go. Let's get this on show on the road. I'm going to pull up my study guide. We're going to stick it right here in the corner. So, Brian, I'm doing a live video while I'm live streaming. Yeah, I'm going live twice right now. It's kind of fun. Now, we stopped on the study guide. We covered honor killings. We stopped at sexism. Actually, there is a new word for sexism. Not on the test, but it might be interesting to y'all. Let me look at it real quick. It's for my gender class next semester. And when y'all are watching this to review for the exam, just fast forward this part. But I mean, it's pretty interesting. I've got a whole list, y'all know, of topics that I do research on. Where'd it go? Yeah. It's in my folder called Sociology. And it's going to be in the folder called LGBT and Growing. Basically, do you use LGBT, LGBTQIA+? How many letters do you need? Well, we need all of them. All right, let me see this Word document come up. And they have given new words to the terms. Now, this is not on the test, but interesting knowledge to know. Let's see. Now, some of these, I'm going to have to work on it. Okay, so for example, instead of saying, wait, no, that's not a good one. I'm hurrying. Here we go. Okay. Instead of saying homophobia, they are replacing that with the term heterosexism. All right? Heterosexism is the assumption that all people are or should be heterosexual. Heterosexism includes the needs, concerns, and life experiences of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and queer people, while it gives advantages to heterosexual people. It is often a subtle form of oppression, which reinforces realities of silence and erasure. So instead of saying homophobia, you can call it heterosexism. All right, let me get you another one. For example, there's actually a thing called sizeism, but that doesn't have to do anything with gender. Okay, for instead of saying transphobia, like being derogatory towards a transgendered individual, you use the term cissexism. 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 And let me give you the exact definition of that. Okay, instead of saying transphobia, you would call it cissexism, or called genderism. The pervasive system of discrimination and exclusion that oppresses people whose gender and or gender expression falls outside of cis-normative constructs. This system is founded on the belief that there are, and should be, only two genders, and that one's gender or most aspects of it are inevitably tied to assigned sex. Within cissexism, cisgender people are the dominant group, and transgender non-conforming people are the oppressed group. So instead of transphobia, you call it cissexism. Love it. Now I thought there was another one. Let me check out sexism, because that's why I came to this document, because the term that we're about to cover is called sexism. And okay, I'm not seeing it on there. Anyway, but there was those other two, and I'm gonna have to write those down so I'll remember that, and I can talk about it in class. All right. And like I said, no, that's not on the test, but I thought that was pretty interesting to find out. Thank you, Cluck. Interesting to know that there's new terms for homophobia and transphobia, and that is cissexism and forgot the other one. Anyway, all right. Good morning. I'm doing a live stream here and a live stream here. I'm going to see how it works, see if it works. Probably not very well. Trying to teach some folks some things. All right, so next up on the list on your study guide is sexism. All right, that's coming from PowerPoint slide number 15. All right, so what do we know about it real quick? Okay, sexism. What do you think it is? We got racism. We got sexism. Now, there's another term called misogyny. Misogynistic? All right. Misogyny is basically hating women. Okay. Specifically, they don't like women, females. All right. Sexism is, as I'll quote, entire range of attitudes, beliefs, policies, laws, and behaviors discriminating against women and men on the basis of their gender. So sexism includes both male and females being discriminated against because of their gender. Most people probably think sexism, or being a sexist, only males can be. No, women can be sexist too. Any gender can be sexist, where they treat treat women and men, discriminate against them based solely on their sex category, which is assigned at birth and could be socially constructed. Anyway, all right, next line, power and male hegemony. All right, male hegemony is just a new word for power. So we talked about patriarchy in that really strange story about the cavemen. Remember, patriarchy is male hegemony, or males in power. You find that all over the globe, that men dominate women in almost all aspects. I would say there's, and get me, prove me wrong here, like seriously, like I'm not trying to be boss bitch, but I'm pretty sure there's not many, if any, societies that are dominated by women. I know you're going to be like, matriarchy, Queen of England. There's men up there making the decisions, right? Anyway, so most of the time we find patriarchy or male hegemony. Why? Well, 10 minutes has already passed and I've only gone over one term. So we're not going to get into why, maybe later, but, does it have something to do with reproduction? That the reason why men have more power is because they don't, I don't know, like, why has it always been set up that way for so long all across the world? And reproduction is something that we got all across the world. Well, for some, perpetuate the species. It's like what they did was they took things that males did and made it prestigious, and things that women did and made that like the norm, the natural, the no big deal, just have a baby, just, having to take care of dirty diaper. You know how I feel about raising children. Anyway, it's the hardest job you'll ever do. Okay. Make sure you think about that long and hard before you procreate. All right. And you in it for, the lifetime, the lifespan. So we got in relations marked by hegemony, male power. Domination by one group, class, or gender over another is achieved by a combination of political and ideological means. So once again, we talked about this in the race chapter. We talked about this in the social class chapter, in the globalization chapter, global stratification chapter. Ideology. That's a big one that keeps reoccurring in these chapters. The way that these people in power get away with it, the way that they are able to, have control over others and make people do what they say, is because of an ideology. All right. Basically, folks sit around and they come up with this belief system. Is it true? Doesn't have to be. It's just some kind of belief system that justifies the way they're going to treat people. For example, slavery, ideological thinking. They spread the myth that slaves were less than human. They were not fully human. Therefore, they could beat them to death in order for them to work for free. And if everybody in the city or the town or the society, if everybody believed that ideological means, then, or that ideology, then it would seem justified or okay to treat people the way they did. And that's the same thing with sexism. Some people a long time ago sat around and said, hey, men are more powerful than women. And we're going to have, this is the ideology and we're going to spread it. And everybody believed it, including women. And women, they look to the media, they look to the educational system, they look all over the society in social institutions, and they find male power, male hegemony. And they say, oh, well, that's just the natural way to be. That's just normal. That's what we've always done. That's traditional. And they are the victims are believing the ideology as well. You see? When I don't know, for example, let's say a woman has a driver's license, is capable of driving, has their own vehicle, yet they will not drive because that's the man's job. And so they let the man drive them around town. You see? They're believing in the ideology that women can't drive, and it's perpetuated. Anyway, and then the last term on this PowerPoint slide, God, it's already 15 minutes. We've only done one slide. Stereotypes. We've talked about that, I believe, in class. And this comes, along with stereotypes, comes my little pet peeve of, let's see. Okay. Wait, let me hide this. I got my little. All right. Stereotypes. I got this little pet peeve. Y'all might know about it. Instead of using the opposite sex, opposite gender, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Men and women are opposites. You know, women go this way, men go this way. They're total opposites. Opposites attract, right? No. We talked about that like back in August about how opposites do not attract. That was on like the first PowerPoint slides that I ever showed y'all in class. It was about how opposites do not attract. I mean, they do sometimes, but it's rare, remember? Anyway, people always, when they talk about sex, they call it the opposite sex. And I'm like, no. It's not the opposite sex. It's the other sex. Because men and women are not opposite of each other. We're humans. We just have different reproductive organs and chromosomes and hormones. Okay? But we are all humans. Now, if we talk about stereotypes, which gender stereotypes are, distortions of reality. That was good wording. Distortions of reality. They give you a assumption. If you assume something and make an ass out of you and me, they give you assumptions on, for example, females. Let's see, what is an assumption about females? A stereotype. They crazy. And men, stereotype, they're rational. Women, they're weak. Men, they're strong. Women, they're passive. Men, aggressive. Now, notice in these examples of stereotypes about sex, that's opposites. Strong, weak, passive, aggressive, dominant, subordinate, emotional, and, crazy or stoic. When you talk about gender stereotypes, then yes, they're opposites. But in reality, men and women are not opposite. We're just the other. And I hope that made a mark, because that's one of my pet peeves is when people say the opposite sex. I want to stop and be like, let me give you a lecture on how to use words called, use the other sex and not opposite sex. All right, next slide. I think, I don't know if we went over this. I'm going to stop at 30-minute intervals. I don't know. We might have like part 7 to this lecture. Gender inequality in the U.S. Stratification. All right, we're talking about feminism. Whoa, the F word. People are have so many assumptions and stereotypes about feminists. And the feminist, and I know in class somebody said like, well, Nazi feminism is so-and-so. Okay, whatevs. I'm talking about a feminist. All right. They have the view that biology is not destiny. They have the view that inequality by gender is wrong and should be resisted. Agreed? They have the view that men and women should be equal. Who would have ever thought? I mean, really? So don't be scared of feminists. They fight for men's rights just as well as they fight for women's rights. It's both. Or, it's not, man haters, or women, wanting to, kill all the men. No, they just want an equal chance with everybody in this world. Equal opportunity. All right. Now, here we go. It's a little pointer right here. It says, competition, toughness, calloused emotions, and independence represent male qualities. And feminists say that they need to be replaced with cooperation, connection, openness, interdependence. I don't know about that last one. I want to be independent. I don't want to blame. I don't want to rely on nobody. But maybe we should sometimes, be interdependent. So feminism is not a scary, bad word. Men can be feminist. If you want equal pay, for your wife, you're a feminist. Yeah. And wouldn't you want that for your wife or your girlfriend, to be treated fairly? and not treated, negatively or inferior because of their gender? Wouldn't you want that for your mother? Your mother to be treated fairly? Your grandma? Yeah. And also my grandpa. So I'm going to fight for men and women to be equal. All right. Now, let's see. You know what? I think I'm just going to go through the PowerPoints, and I'll do the study guide later. I'm not going to worry with it right now. I'm just going to go through these PowerPoints. Number 17, it says teaching gender, and it's a picture. And it's like, let's see, I can get you a 1951, Dick and Jane. And it was reproduced a couple of times. Anyway, it shows mothers with their daughters, and it shows fathers with their sons. All right, there's 4 pictures. And it says like, this is what mommy and daughter do. This is what we do. And it shows them sweeping and vacuuming. And then it shows them sewing. Okay. I know this is back in the 50s, but still. Thank you, Heart Doctor. Okay. Now you look at the men and the boy, the father and the son. And let's see, they are tending to pigs and got a tractor or something. Okay. And then the other one is them playing football with a dog. Okay. So what these pictures are teaching us, and also this came from, like I said, the reader called Dick and Jane back in the 50s. What these gender messages are teaching you is, first of all, that women and men are different, opposite. Women stay indoors. Men go outdoors. Women need to clean. Men get to go outside and play with pigs. Active, passive. Women are supposed to sit down and be quiet and sew. Boys and fathers get outside and throw the football and be loud, and dogs slobbering everywhere and barking. You see the difference? Active, passive. These little tiny messages, you don't think about them when you see them. And the people back in the day, in the 50s, didn't think, there was anything wrong with this. They thought this was normal, and if they saw a girl playing football, ooh, it's terrible. Or if they saw a father vacuuming, no, you're going against the gender norms. You see, today we look at that and laugh, and we're like, no, a man or a woman can vacuum. But in reality, who does the vacuuming? If my mama was on this live stream, I'd ask her, can I invite her? Oh, well. Vacuuming is one thing that my mother will not do. Not because she's lazy, because it hurts her back. So she gets Daddy to vacuum. Me, I love vacuuming. I could vacuum 24/7. Mop? No. Wash dishes? Ah! I pay somebody to wash my dishes. I don't think I'm a woman. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We've got U.S. women's movement. Keep in mind, women did not have the right to vote until 1920. Ooh, it's about to be 2020. So that means it's been 100 years since women have had the right to vote. So 110 years ago, all women could not vote. Do you realize that? Do you realize how stifled their voices were? Their needs, their wants? They couldn't vote, y'all. Thank you. Let's see, who is it? Thank you, Lucy Burns and Alice Paul, for giving me the right to vote. Just because of my gender does not mean you don't get to hear my side of what society needs, All right. Now, moving on. We are on, number 19. Slide number 19. All right, everybody listen up now that 25 minutes has gone by. This is on the test. Gender tracking. Okay, we're talking now about gender inequality in education. Okay, in the educational system, in college today, there are more women than men. However, there's still a difference in the consequences of degrees earned. Okay? Today, your slide, the PowerPoint slide says, far more women attend college than men. They say 57% of bachelor's degrees go to women. 60% of master's degrees go to women. All right, let me check out my notes and see if I got a little extra. Oh yeah. So this is a far long cry from back in the day. I would give you a date, but I literally typed out back in the day. Back in the day, men said that women's minds were dominated by their organs, making women less qualified than men for higher education. The main obstacle to education, they said, was menstruation. They said that when women are on their menstrual cycle, all their blood leaves their brains and goes to their reproductive organs. So they can't think, and they can't learn, and they can't walk upstairs, and they can't carry books. It would hurt their procreate, their reproductive organs, and they wouldn't be able to procreate. Really? These are the ideological means that keep male hegemony in place. Back in the day, they really believed that when you were on your period, you're supposed to lay at home and stay in the bed and let the men do everything. In reality today, menstruation is not going to get in the way of women earning a degree, an education. All right. Let's see. African Americans have the most women relative to men. Asian Americans have the least. All right. So the part that's on the test, gender tracking. Okay. College degrees tend to follow gender, which reinforces male and female distinctions. What we find is, for example, 94%, that is a huge percentage. 94% of associate's degrees in the field of construction trades go to men. Big shock. 95% of associate's degrees in family and consumer science go to women. Literally, that 94 and 95%. So that's like 5% go to the other gender. That's huge. That is gender tracking. That women choose one degree or a certain field and men choose other fields. That may explain the gender pay gap, because women are choosing fields that are less lucrative compared with men. I use this as an example, and y'all let me know if this is outdated. But if you walk by a classroom on campus and you peek in, and you're assuming what the gender of everybody is, based on their cultural genitalia, based on their gender expression. You look in there and you're like, okay, so there's 99% men and 1% women. There's one woman in a class of 30 men. And you think to yourself, I wonder what class that is. Engineering, math. See? And then you walk by a class and most of your students are females. Sociology. Education. You see? Gender tracking. All right. And here's another statistic. 80% of engineering degrees are awarded to men. 90% of library science degrees are awarded to women. This illustrates the phenomenon of gender tracking, that people choose a degree in higher education based on their gender. Interesting. And it's not like, men go, hey, well, I was born with a penis, so I'm going to choose to do construction. It's not like that. You just choose construction. That's the normal thing to do. It's ingrained into our thoughts and our belief systems that men are supposed to do one thing and women are supposed to do the other. And it's still prevalent today. These stereotypes, this gender tracking. Here, let's go to the next slide. It gets worse. I know we had 30 minutes and I said I was gonna take a break every 30 minutes, but look, I get all worked up about this. All right, here we go. This is slide 20, figure 10.2. Oh, this is changes in college enrollment by sex. Basically, like in 1900, I'm going to say 35% were female, 65% were male. Okay. And then World War II, I believe, made a difference. All right. So today, 60% are female, 40% are male. It's okay. Next slide. All right. Get this. Speaking of gender tracking, choosing your major, your gender. All right. In 1970, not too long ago, 1970, 99% of dentists were male. 99%. That's huge. As in, almost every dentist was male. Gender tracking. All right. In 2010, the ratio, or it's 54% male, 46% female. So it's like this. Okay. All right. Another area is law. Okay. 1970, 95% of lawyers were male. That's a male-dominated field. Only 5% were female in 1970. That's not that long ago. I mean, I know I wasn't born yet, but still, All right. And then 2010, it's 53-47. So, we're getting there. All right. Doctors, MDs, medical doctors. 1970, 92% of medical doctors were men. So what was happening was people were going and getting an education and choosing degrees that gave them a job one day. And 99% of dentists were men in 1970. I mean, that's huge. Okay. I thought I had another slide on here that really blows things out of the water, but wait, here it is. The gender pay gap by education. I gotta, oh Lord, I better take a break before we do gender pay. All right, let me go. All right, we're gonna stop at 22, slide 22, and I'll pick up in just a moment. And with part 3, starting at slide 22, because we are about to begin the gender pay gap. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's what I almost did my dissertation on. Yeah, so it is my thing. So let me take a break, and I'll be back in a moment. Deuces.